Well, g'day and welcome to the channel. In today's video, I want to share with you exactly how I cull my images. How do I go from 3,000 images down to only a handful? How do I decide which images to process, and how do I do that in the quickest, most efficient way? Now, I'm not saying this is the best way to do it, it's just how I do it. Now, as you can see, I'm in the field. I've actually spent this morning out taking numerous photos. I've taken over 3,000 photos this morning. I've had an amazing time. We started with the sun coming up and I tried some backlit shots of cockatoos. And we're just trying to get creative, you know, and I'm not worrying about how many photos I'm taking. I've just got the camera and I'm just burst mode, 20 frames per second, Canon R5, Canon 200-800. We're just having a good time. I don't worry myself about how many photos I'm taking because I can just delete them later. I would rather shoot in bursts and get that one exact shot with the right head angle, the right eye contact, the right wing pose, just something unique. And the more photos I take, the more chances I have of getting a good shot. I'm excited now to go home and process those images, but of course we need to pick them first, and that's what I'm going to show you next. I'm going to head home, jump on the computer, and show you how I cull the images that I took today and process the ones that I want to, and then share those with you. Alrighty, so I've made it home. I ended up taking 3,730 shots, which is a lot. My issue now is, the one that we all face is, what do we do with all those photos? How do we select the very best photos that we want to process, and how do we delete the rest of them? Hopefully you pick up a few tips on how I do it, and you might be able to implement it in your own culling process. For me, I keep around 5% of the photos I've taken. So how do I pick those 5%? Well, I'll explain it to you. So I use a 5-star rating system. That is, the very best images that I take, I want to give them 5 stars, and then 4 stars, and so on. If I don't want to keep an image, I don't give it a rating at all. So I'll just quickly go through my 5 stars and how I apply it to each image I'm looking at. First, 5 stars is basically the best image that I took in that series on that day, and it's highly likely I'm going to process that photo. It's a keeper. It doesn't get much better than that. 4 stars is I'm likely going to process. It's very good, but it's not quite a 5-star image. 3 stars is it's okay. I've probably taken better. I may process this, but we definitely want to keep it. 2 stars is, yeah, it's not bad, but it's missing a few elements. I've definitely taken better, but I'll keep it anyway. And then 1 star really is just for backups, just in case, I guess. So maybe I've got a 5-star image, but I want to keep a few either side of that or around that, just in case there's something not quite right with that 5-star image. It might be slightly soft or there's something not quite right. So I will 1-star quite a few just in case. And then any image that I don't want to keep, I just don't star it. And I'll explain this later how I do that process. What we need is some sort of software that allows us to rate those images quickly so that we can just go through the images and just quickly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Doing that, we can get through those images very quickly and then just cull them. So in terms of speed, for me, I probably do around 1,500 to 2,000 images every 10 minutes. So that morning session would probably take me close to 20 minutes to cull those images. So it still takes some time, but I figure 20 minutes isn't too bad to go through nearly 4,000 images. And I'll show you exactly how I do that. So I found a bit of software. Thankfully, it's free. You don't have to pay for it. And it's called XNView. I will put the link in the description. You can download it for free, install it. I'll also provide you with my shortcut file and just talk you through how I use it, because I find it to be absolutely brilliant and it allows me to cull my photos very quickly. So once you've installed that software, there's a few little things we need to change to get it working properly. So we click on Tools, then Settings, then we click on Metadata, and ensure that Export Rating and XMP metadata is selected. This will ensure that our ratings are saved. The next thing we want to do is we want to ensure when we zoom into the image and we click on the next image that it stays zoomed in. It doesn't zoom out and then zoom in. So we need to jump into the settings again. We go to Tools, Settings, View, and where it says Auto Zoom, select Last Used. That will enable us to go through and keep our zoom. All right, so now we've done that, we need to set up some shortcuts. Unfortunately, the default to assign the ratings, if we want to give it a 1-star, we've got to hold down Control and press 1. All we want to do is push the number on the keyboard. So 1 is 1 and 2 is 2, etc. So we need to set up those shortcuts. So we go Tools, Settings, and then under Interface, you've got Shortcuts. And in the shortcuts, down the bottom, you'll see it says Default, Load, and Save. If we hit Load, you can download the shortcuts file that I'll supply to you, and then you can just load the shortcuts, and that will do the shortcuts for you. If you want to do them by yourself, what you'll have to do is change the little drop down where it says Browser at the top to Viewer. Click on Viewer, and then we've got to go down and find the shortcut. The first one you'll see it says average. We then need to go down into custom and then put the number 3 and then put the number 4, 5, etc. So I highly suggest that you do that because it's just going to make it much, much easier. Once we got those shortcuts set up, we hit OK. And now we're ready to use this bit of software. Alrighty, so I've got my memory card. There's a link in the description for a discount on these ProGrade cards. That's what I use. So put that into the card reader. Now it's up to you whether you copy these images directly onto your hard drive or you leave it on the memory card. Depends on your computer though and your hard drive. So maybe try both and see which is quicker. What do I mean by quicker? What I don't want is a lot of lag between images as I'm going through them. So on my PC that I use, when I just plug this in, it's very, very fast. If you've got a really old hard drive or a really old laptop, unfortunately, you might get a bit of lag going between images, which just slows down this whole process. But unfortunately, there's no way around that. You can only go as fast as the computer or the hard drive that you're using. However, this software is generally pretty good because it's just reading the JPEG image. It's not looking at the full RAW image. We obviously load it up and we go in and we double click on the raw image and it brings up the image that we're looking at, and we hit information on the keyboard, or I, which will bring up a little information box which will tell us the rating and the size of the image, etc. And then we just start going through those images. And how do we go through the images? We just use the arrow keys on your keyboard. So obviously right to go through them or left to go the other way. And we just start cycling through those images. These first images that I took of these cockatoos just didn't work. The birds sort of got lost with that tree. The tree was too big and I didn't like it. So I can tell just through experience now what images I like and what ones I don't like. This will come with time, but I know exactly what I'm looking for, which speeds up this process. So I don't like any of these images. So I'll just hit the right arrow key to go through these images, and we keep going through, and I obviously changed the composition. I zoomed out to try and make it work, but overall it just never worked, which is a shame, but that's the way it goes sometimes. So I just go through. I remember that these birds did fly off, and hopefully I caught them flying off the perch, which might have made an interesting image. So I'll just go quickly to the right until we get to that time, and here we go. So we've got these cockatoos flying off the perch, and we've got a handful of different poses as they've flown. So I want to pick maybe the very best one or a couple of them. So I just go through quickly. Okay, I know what I've got. I think the one with the wings up was the best, but I want to keep a couple of other poses just in case. So maybe this first one here with just the wings, we'll give it, say, a 3. And then we'll give this next one, which is okay, we'll give it a 2. And then we go to the one that I like the best, and that's the wings up as they've just left the perch. And I will give that a 4 because it's still not the very best photo, but it's likely I'm going to process it because it's interesting from that session. So I just hit 4 on the keyboard. And that has given it the rating of that number 4. It's now written that to this little XMP file in the background, and that rating is there now. So now I just need to keep going through the images that I took, and we keep going and keep going. And we got to some kangaroos. There's a little family of kangaroos. First image I can see is clearly soft. For whatever reason, the camera's misfocused, so we're not going to keep that. I'm just going through until I can see one that where the kangaroo is looking at us. And now if I want to know if it's sharp or not, see if it's sharp, we want to go to 100% zoom. How do we do that? Well, we just simply hit the star button on the keyboard. So if I hit star, it goes to 100%. And if I want to check whether that is sharp or not, well, I can see. If it's zoomed in to a different part of the image and we want to move the image around, we can hold down the right mouse button and that will move the image around. If we want to assign the left mouse button to do that, we need to go up into the tools again, go into settings, and then we've got to go to mouse, and where it says left mouse button, change it to be able to move the image around. Once that's done, we can close that, and now we can hold down the left mouse button and move the image around. So we can quickly zoom in, and if we want to zoom out from 100% back to full frame, we hit the / on the keyboard. So star to 100% / back out. So we can zoom in, zoom out, and tag the image if we want to give it a rating because it's sharp. Now, say that you wanted to zoom into 100% star, and you want to stay at 100%, and you can cycle through. So you can go through each image at 100% if you wanted to. If you wanted to zoom out just a little bit, you can actually put minus on the keyboard. That will start zooming us out, and if we want to zoom in, we can hit plus. So just using this keyboard, we can zoom in to 100%, we can zoom out, we can do these little things, we can cycle through the images, and we can assign ratings. And that is pretty much our shortcuts done. And so I can sit at the computer here, so I keep going, and then I came across a young kangaroo that was feeding. It was pretty cute, and I started taking some shots. Unfortunately, it appears a little bit of heat haze. You can see a little bit of movement between the images, which is always a bit of a bummer. But the going through, where you go to 100%, and we'll just tag a couple of these. But I remember the kangaroo was just scratching its chest, leaning back, and I hope that I got that shot. And so if we just go through and, oh, unfortunately, looks like when in my excitement as I was taking those shots, I haven't allowed enough space underneath the kangaroo. That's my fault. I should have adjusted that as I was shooting. But obviously I was in the car and I was just a bit excited, so it's my bad. But we got a couple of cool poses. And now what I'm thinking is, because I cut off the bottom, I remember a couple of shots previously we did get the bottom, so I might just go back and ensure that I rate another image that has the bottom part, because then I can stitch them together later. So just be conscious of that. Sometimes there's an image which doesn't work, but it has part of the image that you want, maybe if you want to stitch it or use it in processing. So we definitely want to keep those. We don't want to delete those images that may help us later on. So once I've gone through all the images, I've assigned the ratings, I then need to import those into Lightroom. So what we need to do now is, if you've done it on the memory card and not on your hard drive, we need to copy all the raw files and these XMP files off your memory card and then copy them onto your hard drive, your external hard drive, or wherever you store your photos. So we do that, transfer those over. So for me, I have a number of external hard drives and backups, so I've copied those over. I then open up Lightroom, and we go into Lightroom. I import those photos to Lightroom, but what it's going to do is import all those XMP files which have the ratings in them. So when I open up the images that I took in that morning in Lightroom, you can see in the library view, I can now sort it by rating. And this is the absolute key, and this is why I love this system, is Lightroom automatically puts the best, the 5-star images at the top, and then goes down 5, 4, 3, etc. So when I open up Lightroom and I go to the folder for my session, all the best photos come to the top, and I can just look at them and go, yep, that's good, process the raw file, and then export it, etc. All right, so the next step is deleting all the images that don't have a rating. And simply, if we've sorted by rating, I just go down to the first image that doesn't have a rating, I click on it, scroll down to the bottom of those images, and then I think I hold down Shift and click on the bottom one, which selects all the images that don't have a rating. I then right click on it and delete from disk, and then we hit enter, and it deletes all those images forever. So I kept just under 5%. Our biggest fear is deleting images that we didn't mean to. And there's always that risk whenever you delete stuff, but I think it's important that we do delete. Otherwise, you'll just end up with thousands of photos that you're probably never ever going to use, and they'll just take up hard drive space. But I can't really recall many instances where I've gone, oh no, I've deleted the wrong image. Just by following this process that I go through, I really don't have many issues. So that system works for me, which has reduced the amount of hard drive space I need, because I'm only keeping the very best of the images that I take. Now this process will get quicker and quicker the more you do it. The first time you do it, it's probably going to take ages, but once you've got the shortcuts sorted out and you know what you're doing, you know what you're looking for, I find that this definitely streamlined the way that I do it. I'd love to hear from you how you cull your images. Is it the same system I'm using? Do you use a different system? Feel free to share it with us in the comments. Jump down there, read how others are doing it. We can learn from each other. I hope you found this video helpful and insightful. And of course, I want to thank my new and existing members. If you're not aware, for the less than the price of a cup of coffee, you can directly support me every month, which helps me to make these videos, and I'm very, very grateful for that. So until the next video, happy birding, take care, see you later.